We've been racing today already. I'm sorry that I am late. We had an early appointment in town this morning, and I thought we would be back in time. And needless to say, that is not the case. And my 11:30 prediction did not work out well either. So here we are. What time is it? It's after 12, I think. So my bad. I tried. Miss Carol and Lorenzo are in the house. Hello, Lorenzo. How are you today, buddy? Are you and Nanny having a good time today? I guess your day's almost over. It's almost bedtime for you, I believe. I wish I could see his smiling face. So how are you guys today? And what kind of praises do you guys have for me? And do you have any prayers? Have you guys started growing anything, Miss Carol and Lorenzo, in your little greenhouse? I tried. I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad it's still only 7:11 there, so that way it's not his bedtime anyway. He's got a little bit yet. Howdy, Miss Tammy. I see you guys jumping on. Awesome. Oh, so my bad. It was a crazy morning, but it was a really good thing that we did, but I can't share it with you yet. And tomorrow we have something really awesome going on, and I can't share that with you yet. But when I can, you'll be really excited with us because it's really awesome stuff. Today we signed papers. That's all the more I'm going to say. But it's really awesome. So we've got really good stuff going on. I will be tied up all day tomorrow, so I had to cancel the kids' corner. But we'll keep that going. And that'll be restarting again next Friday. Let me see here. We got Miss Deb on. Howdy. She says, I'm at work listening. Awesome. I'm glad you can listen in. Carol says, we love and miss you. And Mountain Man, we got it all together. We are planning Saturday. Awesome stuff. What kind of stuff are you planning? Did you pick things you like? And how did you choose what you're going to plant? I'm excited for you guys. That's awesome. Up here, quick, before he disappears. Got a grunt. Carol's in the house. And Lorenzo. Make sure you say hello to Lorenzo.
Hi, Lorenzo. How you doing? Hi, everybody.
So we've got Deb and Tammy in the house so far.
Tammy.
And Carol.
And Carol. Hi.
Howdy. Hello.
Hello. Deb, tell Sterling I said hi.
She says, howdy, Glenn. Awesome. I shared with them that we had to sign stuff today, but I couldn't tell them what. That we'll be sharing that later. And I told them we have good news for tomorrow too, but I can't tell them what it is yet. All these secrets, I tell you. But it's good stuff, let me tell you. It's really awesome stuff. Carol says, yay, Mountain Man. So Miss Carol is planting spuds, and she's going to plant red onions, radishes, gem lettuce, and Savoy cabbage. Okay.
Well,
Arrivederci.
mach's gut. Auf Wiedersehen. Duty 2. So long.
Farewell.
I found a girl.
Where was it?
Out along the container.
Yes, thank you. I love you. Be careful. Okay, so sorry about that. Is Mr. Chad in the house? Yes, he is. Hello, Mr. Chad. You just missed the man. He was heading out the door. He just shared with me that he found my burl. I am so excited. You know the nice tool he made me to work on my bowl? Well, we couldn't find the burl so that I could use it. So we finally found that. So it was uncovered. So this is awesome stuff. So I can start working on my bowl. So my question to you guys was, how are you today? What kind of praises do you have for me? And do you have any prayer requests? Deb says he's been working with friend building sheds in CDA area. Awesome. Very good deal. Yes, the Mountain Man is actually busy working on a construction project, and I have been busy working on taxes. Oh, that is my least favorite thing in the world to do, but I've got it down to a science, and I'm almost finished. So that's good. So I'm praising that. It's almost finished, and I've got it down that it's seamless, and it's not as grueling as it once was. So that's always good too, right? And we've got great praises. We've got amazing things going on here, exciting things that I believe will lead to great growth in our future. And Mountain Boy is doing very good at school. He starts his next term in the community college working in automotive on April 5th. I'm just trying to establish how we're going to come up with the money to get his books, but God has been gracious all along. So I'm praising God for what he's going to do. And yes, I know, good to find treasures, right? I know. And then existing ones that just got put somewhere. It was really crazy when we were moving up here. When we were kind of rushed to get out of there because they arrived earlier than they had expected to. So we kind of ended up just dumping things up here. So it kind of looks a little bit like the Clampets as the snow's melting. So we're anxious to get that all together. I'm putting in a flower bed soon. Going to start gathering rocks. So I'm excited. There's all kinds of good stuff going on. We've had snow all week though. Carol says daughter Mariko is better, still small pain, but okay. Awesome. Well, we have been continuing to pray for her and we'll continue to do so. God is answering prayer, so that is awesome. Tammy says, I drank some oregano tea and the sinus swelling from my tooth has gone down. Praising God. Awesome. 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 We'll continue to pray for that too. If you could please keep me in your prayers as well for healing. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm not ready to jump into a fourth antibiotic here. So I'm trying some other things. So I need some prayers there. I may need to go for some further testing, which I don't really want to do either, but it may be necessary. Miss Shelley is in the house, just on phone to family. No worries. We just gathered on here. I'm getting my bearings from after running. I got on here looking like quite the train wreck. How are you feeling, Miss Shelley? We are continuing to pray for you. Poor Miss Shelley has had a swollen eye all week with cellulitis and has been dealing with a lot of pain. Miss Tammy, I'm grateful for that for you and your praise from this week as well. Shelley says, I made it. I'm off the IV antibiotics for now. Okay, awesome. Is your stomach getting, well, you just stopped them. So now it's a matter of getting your stomach back in line. I really dread taking antibiotics. I really do not like providing for Big Pharma, nor do I enjoy partaking from Big Pharma. Way too many side effects and way too many garbage. Lorenzo says, giant squeeze for you, feeling better. Well, thank you, young man. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lorenzo. Shelley says, I get to have 7 more days of oral antibiotics. Okay. Well, we will continue to pray that you heal quickly and that you don't have to do any more. That is just antibiotics. We talked about that on Monday. Antibiotics are the devil. Just the side effects alone, to heal something very simple are, it's risky taking them. And I found today that my body is still flares. When we went in town and we went into the building where we needed to sign stuff, I felt it coming on. I felt it in my throat and I felt my face getting hot. And when we left there, I said to Glenn, I said, there's something in that building. I don't know if it was mold or what, which is likely because it's an older building. But it's just crazy. Our bodies are good indicators that things are wrong around us. And if we pay attention to them really well, they will also direct us on what we need for our healing. So I've been kind of following that. Right now I'm on some pretty heavy doses of vitamin C and trying to figure some things out for myself, trying to see if there's anything else I can do on my own rather than having to go take more antibiotics. I'm glad to see you guys loving on each other. Chad, how are you today? What you got going on? How can we be praying for you? And today I thought we would talk about finances. It's a trouble point for all of us. We all struggle at some point with finances, keeping them in line, keeping them organized, staying on top of such things. Also, through this last year and a half, it's hard to say that, but we're almost like, I can't believe we're heading into April. That is just freaking me out. How is that happening? But with everything that's been going on, it's been harder to keep a handle on our finances and keep things straight because of, just the way the pandemic affected us all and differently. And I want to encourage you guys too. I'm seeing so much going on in each of the states and in our country. And Idaho is not an exception. Idaho has got some really bad stuff going on here, and it's really sad to watch. And I don't want to see our state turn. So, we're really paying attention to what's happening, and we're really trying to play a role in where we can make a difference. If there's places we can make a difference, we are trying, because Tammy shared something with me yesterday, and they're trying to put things in place. And Carol, I know you've already got this in place, and I know you can attest to probably the wrong of it, that it has limited you greatly and also left you in places where you can't even carry a knife without having a federal offense. But they are trying to deem the Second Amendment stating that we are able to protect our homes, but that does not give us the right to conceal carry and open carry. And I wanted to mention that today before we jump into things, because for us, that's huge. That's really huge. That's why we moved to Idaho, and thankfully it has not yet affected Idaho. It's affected, if I can recall correctly, Hawaii, Alaska, Montana, Oregon, California, I believe, Washington, and I know I'm missing some others. There was quite a few. But they're trying to put that in place, that you cannot conceal or open carry in those states. And I feel that's our Second Amendment right. I feel we should be permitted to do that. I mean, I walk here, I've got 3 wolves running around wild out here, and I'm not going to stop carrying, and I'm going to protect myself and my animals. As well as when I go to town, it's no different than, going to any of these big stores that have limited carry, like Walmart. You go in there, you're a sitting duck, because the people that do have guns and don't care will find those places as an easy target now, So that's just an example of, there's so much going on in our court systems right now, and with our police here in Idaho specifically. But I don't, and it's just really sad to see, because it's going back to the days of Hitler, where people are doing things because they are told to do them, but they're not ethical. And they are also not following their oath of the Second Amendment right and our Constitution. So it's really important that we pay attention and know what our rights are. There's a couple people here in Idaho that are really pursuing things and really drawing attention to the wrong that's happening. Ammon Bundy is one of them. If you look him up, he has his channel on YouTube, which continuously gets shut down and videos taken down. And North Idaho Exposed is another one. If you're here in Idaho, those are some things I would check out and start paying attention to. In your state, pay attention to the bills that are being passed and read all of the material in there, because the bills are for one thing, but they're nestling all kinds of stuff in there, which is no surprise. They've been doing that for a long time. But we need to really pay attention, because very quickly everything is going to start being taken away. And if you enjoy your freedoms and your liberties, we need to pay attention. So I just wanted to put that out there, because although things are opening up and things are getting comfortable, behind the scenes there's a lot of stuff that's happening that's not comfortable, and it's not cool, and it will affect us long term. And if you care about the next generations, we need to stand up, and we need to make a difference where we can. Call your representatives, get on your knees a lot and pray, because that's really what it's about. I mean, we've got to pray hard. Our country is in a really bad way, despite that we don't want to see it that way, and that there are things that are happening that might be removing us from the different levels of holds that we've been on in our country. But things aren't good. Gas prices are going through the roof, and there's a lot of legislation that's already been passed that is really going to make our lives crazy in the future. So just, I know we all avoid the news, and that's not where you want to be looking for your stuff. I had shared on our videos that we were doing daily, which will be starting back up again. But we didn't have really a whole lot to share. There was a little bit of chaos in the midst here with getting some things done. But we'll be starting that up again. But in the bottom of those videos are links to some really good sources for information. And I encourage you guys to start checking them out. You know, we stay in tune, but we limit ourselves even in that regard, just because it's hard. It's hard to pay attention to it. Miss Mill, you're on here. Welcome. I just saw you jump on with a hand wave. Glad to have you joining us. Let me see here. We got a bunch of things being said. Shelly says, I do not have a choice, as if the infection got into my eye or eye socket. Could have been much worse. Most people get to stay in the hospital when treated for and with what I was. I know, and we're praying for you, girl. I know there's a time and a place for it. I just know what it does to the body, and it's very likely that I'm going to have to take more, and I don't want to, but I don't want to end up in the hospital. So I understand, and I'm right there with you, but I'm fighting it, kicking and screaming, and looking for other options still. Carol says, we are not even allowed to carry a metal nail file in our bags, as it can be used as a weapon. I've always said that. That's one thing I like about when you fly, is that they don't confiscate your fingernail file. I could do some real damage with a fingernail file if need be, and I had to go crazy. But yeah, isn't that crazy? That's just nuts. And you know what, guys? If we don't fight and we don't pay attention, that's where we're gonna end up. And it's terrible. It's terrible. What is Rex's channel? I'll have to share a link later in the community. One of the fellows we follow shared a link to a video on Hitler, and telling you guys, we got to really pay attention. Tammy says, that is crazy, Carol. Need to stop carrying pencils and pens because they can be used as weapons. Yep, no kidding. Well, don't worry, I'm working on my slingshot deals. I'm going to soon be pretty deadly with that too, because if they take it all away, I'll be packing one of them. Oh, this is just nuts. But yeah, please pay attention, guys. Please pay attention to what's happening. You know, I know it's easy to disengage, and sometimes it's nice to keep your head in the sand. But at the same time, if we have any care in the world for our next generations, we need to pay attention. And we need to stand where we can. Carol says, I have a wooden baseball bat called Charlie Wood, lol. I'm going to put one of them and name it Marlene at the door here. Yeah, you know, you gotta be able to protect yourself. I have one hefty rolling pin. You guys have seen my rolling pin. That was from Miss Mona. That could do some damage. So, yeah, we don't want to be robbed of our rights. And we don't want to see our Constitution jacked, hijacked. It's just, they can't, man, we just need to just keep a tight handle on things and pay attention. And I praise the people that are out there doing that full time right now, blowing these businesses out of the water. North Idaho Exposed is suing the people that are evading his Second Amendment rights and going to that degree. So, and he's seeking them out to see where they stand. And when they are not standing and following Idaho's Constitution as well as our Constitution, he's actually putting judgment on them. He's suing them. So it's going to get ugly, but we need to really pay attention. So I'm off that soapbox, but I just wanted to put that out there because there's stuff that's happening, guys, that is just so behind the scenes and so sneaky, and we just need to be aware of what's happening and not think that all good is happening when things start lifting, because I still think that was all a ploy too, but that's just my opinion. So how many of you struggle with your finances as far as keeping track of things and being able to really keep a good handle on things. The other question I have is, how many of you currently do have a good handle on things, and what are you using? I like Dave Ramsey's envelopes and having an emergency fund. That works really well. But there's a lot of things that will hold us back from making that a successful habit. A lot of that is our upbringing and our mindsets as well. Mill says, I was given a heads up by my concealed carry instructor that activists are being hired by law enforcement and encouraged us to get gun owner insurance. No kidding. No kidding. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. And Mill says, we did the Dave Ramsey long ago and never looked back. Awesome. So you're still doing that and following the envelopes and the emergency fund. I just paid $347.18 today for my gas and electric. Wow. Yeah, I'm very grateful in our lifestyle. We have not paid an electric bill for 11 years. How cool is that? And yes, our solar system costs money, but in 2015, we had already had that paid off in regard to figuring out what our electric bill was prior to moving here and calculating that per month, per year, the amount of money we spent. In 5 years, we had that system paid off. And it was a $21,000 system that we paid $13,000 for, and then we added another $3,000, $4,000 in batteries. So $17,000 is what we put out for that solar system. And right now, we paid probably under $500 for the system we have right now. And it is working, but on these gray days, it does get trying to keep things charged. So at some point, we will probably upgrade and do a little bit more, but we really don't have a lot of needs electrically. When he's running his shop, yes. And when I'm backing up my computer, yes. But typically, you know, the only thing I have running in this house other than my computer equipment is diffusers. I don't have any electric appliances. So it's awesome when you can get rid of some of your monthly expenses. And a lot of them we can, and we can also lower them by making adjustments to how we live and maybe what we use. For example, LED lights. That's all we've used since we're off grid. We had used some prior, but I can't imagine how much we would have saved prior, because they only pull 4 to 9 watts versus 60, 100, 200 watts a piece. That's a lot of power, and it adds up really fast. So if you switch over to using all LED light bulbs, you can cut your electric bill tremendously. So that's tip number 1. Now, I saw you guys had other things. Let me see. British pounds and pence. I know you were going to laugh at me. So the 347 pounds and 18 pence is how you say that, correct? I'm learning. I'm learning. You're educating me. I'm educating you. This is all good. All right. So Deb says, getting my son set up with Dave Ramsey Foundation's course immediately to finish with some of his classes to graduate. Awesome. It's an awesome program. But we have to have a good mindset towards it as well, which I will probably lead into and start sharing some things with you guys. Mill says, we are going completely off grid. They are not going to bankrupt us. We work too hard. Good for you, sister. Good for you. And you know what? Off grid, I won't ever go back. This is so easy. We don't have a water bill. We don't have a sewer bill. We don't have an electric bill. We do have a phone bill, and I have internet. Those are the 2 things that we have, and a fuel bill that we get fuel periodically. But we don't go through much. You know, since we're here, we really haven't utilized a lot of fuel. Even when we were building, that was essential because we didn't have anything else here. But and we're also looking into possibly doing some hydro. So that might be an option for us as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can cut corners and cut things, really pay attention to your water use. Water is something that when it's coming out the tap, we take for granted and we use. Like, how many of you, when you brush your teeth, you just leave the water run? Or when you're washing dishes, you leave the water run? When you start to be more frugal and you are limited on your water, like at the other homestead, we had a well, and our pump was hooked up. Our well pump was on demand, and it was on a breaker. So the way yours works is you have a pressure tank, and when your pressure tank gets empty, your well pump kicks in, and then it refills, and it just keeps going that route. Well, we could have done it that way, but it would have consumed a lot of power. So what we did is we put it on a breaker so that when the sun's shining, we can flip the breaker and use solar, or if the generator was running, we could flip the breaker and use the generator to fill up a 275-gallon tank that was in our utility room. And then we had an RV pump and a marine battery and a small solar panel that charged that, and that was how we plumbed it into the house. So when we turned on the water spigots, it would kick in the RV pump. So when you're living like that, I mean, we had endless amounts of water, but we only had 275 gallons in the tank. And when you get gray days, if you want to be conservative, which is how we live, we wouldn't start the generator to do the water. We would just become more frugal. So when you learn to pay attention to your usage of everything, your power, your water, when you leave a room, turn out the light. When you are a lot of people like to have TVs and radios and different things like that on for background noise. I use my iPhone. I listen to a podcast. I listen to some of the classes I'm taking. I'll listen to Spotify and go that route, but I'm not consuming power. So again, if you really want to be conservative and really cut your electric bill and really test it out, those are great ways for you to learn to test it out. And anything that draws heat, like a curling iron or a hair dryer or an air popper, popcorn popper, those types of items, coffee pots, they draw excessive amounts of power. When we first moved in down there, the mountain man was trying to bless us with power for Christmas Day. And I forget what happened there. We did get power. So we did have power, but the batteries weren't fully charged, and it was wintertime, so we had to charge the batteries up. But we tested it out with the air popper, not knowing how much power that thing actually pulled. It was 1,800 watts. And as soon as I turned that thing on, the alarm on the solar went off because it was more than the batteries could handle at the time because they weren't charged all the way. But 1,800 watts for an air popper. My house alone, right now, it's only using 11 watts. So 1,800 watts for one appliance is insane. And what's nice is the unit that I use a Ninja bat. You can go to TrayerWilderness.com/Ninja Bat, BATT. And I'm using a 100-watt solar panel to keep that charged. I need to get one more 100-watter to charge the second bat that we have. But it has on it, when you plug stuff into it, it tells you how much power it's drawing and how much it's using. So it's handy because it makes it easy to determine whether something should be on for a long period of time or not. My internet is what is pulling 11 watts. It's 2 routers outside and the router inside. But it's still only pulling 11 watts. My iPad pulls 65, and my backup drive, I think that was 8 watts. So to be able to keep track of that, I mean, that you see how my mind works. We're always calculating that stuff and figuring that stuff because we want to be frugal. We don't want to have the bills, the excess bills. We want to be able to live by our means of what we have. So you guys could do the same thing and start experimenting and see how much you could cut your electric bill by just putting LED lights in, turning lights out and appliances off when you're not using them, and shutting down power strips to appliances that aren't being used also, because power strips on a solar panel on a solar system actually create a phantom load, sometimes is what it's called. It has confusing power coming from it. So it's still utilizing power even though it's not charging anything. So by shutting it off, it stops pooling, and sometimes that can make it look like you're using a lot more power than you actually are. And I don't know how that works with the grid because I've never tested it, because we realized that after we were off the grid. But I would encourage you and challenge you to test it, to plug stuff into power strips and shut the strips off when you're not using it, and see if your power goes down considerably. Washers and dryers, refrigerators are also very big power hogs. So let me see here. Shelly says, I have most of my bills come out of my accounts directly, so electric envelopes there, but I do have emergency funds both in the bank and some hidden around the house. Yep, and that's the way to do it. That is the way to do it. And $476.19 in your money. Wow, sister, that's a big electric bill. Woohoo! Ours were probably, I think, around like $2 in the winter, $2.50 in the winter time. It was electric heat, and then they put in a pellet stove for me in the place I rented. But that still had a fan that ran that pulled quite a bit of power. So, yeah, it's crazy. The electric is just something that you're taxed on. It goes up. So that's why we were so bent on going off grid with solar, and I'm so excited that we did. Shelly says we had a bad windstorm a couple years back, and to buy anything for days, we could only use cash as all the hydro was out for days, so no debit could be used. Yeah, it's really important to have cash on hand. And the way things are going right now, this is something we talk about and discuss too. You know, keeping a lot of money in the banks is dangerous, is how I feel about it. And we don't normally carry cash, but I think that having cash readily available is really smart. I'm going to share this too. I got a notice in the mail from my bank, which really kind of chapped my butt a little bit. I withdrew 6 times out of my savings account into my checking account in a month. And I was told that was the second time that happened. And if it happens a third time, because I've overgone federal limitations on my account, that account needs to be closed. Why should they have any say in how many times I transfer funds from one account to another? It's not a special account. It's just a savings account. Why should they have any say in what I do with my money? That really bothered me. So that was one of the little pushes and nudges that kind of pushed me in the direction of heading back to my envelopes instead of having savings accounts to do it. Yep, Carol says, yes, well done, yes. And Shelly says, I am going to look into some solar lights for the house to have just in case, but it might become something we do to not turn on lights. Yeah, you can. There's some really cool products out on the market right now that enable you to do all kinds of stuff with solar. One of the things we were going to do was put solar lighting in the chicken coop. And there is some really cool lighting that we're going to get for our greenhouse that's on timers. And they're LEDs, so they don't pull a lot. A lot of the grow lights and heat lamps, they pull so much power because of the heat lamps. But these LEDs have 3 different settings for the color. And if we have heat in there and we have those lights, we will be golden. So there's all kinds of really, really cool stuff that you can do. If you look up solar lighting with us, we have LED lights, but these babies are DC lights, not AC. Some of them are AC and DC, so they can be used in both applications. But the reason they're DC is because we have those batteries up in the box in my bedroom, and he has it wired from the batteries for all of our lighting. And so it's coming straight from the battery. So that's DC power. It hasn't been converted through the inverter to AC power. So by having those DC lights, you know, that's how we had lighting out in the mess tent and in our tent setup when we were building. Just have a battery with the light hook fixture and a switch. He has a switch he had clamps on the battery and a switch wired in there, so we could just flip the switch and turn the lights on and off. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that you guys can do to be off grid, but also to put in your current setting. Like the solar lighting is a great thing. You can get those for your porches. There's all kinds of different solar ready lights. We have one out here that goes on when the deer go across the driveway, which is kind of cool. So there's a lot of new things on the market, and being prepared for power outages is another good thing. You know, having a generator in place, or a solar generator in place, or a Ninja Bat. That Ninja Bat is the coolest little thing. I really am very grateful we have those, and they're portable. So if I need to bring power down here, you know, and I've done that when I'm doing the Bible study at night, rather than pulling from our batteries that are being charged by the bigger panel outside that we save just for lighting, or we can plug into them, into the outlets into those batteries too, but we try to conserve those. But the Ninja Bat's portable, so I can bring it down and plug my laptop into it and be good. So it makes it very convenient. If you have medical stuff like a CPAP and the different breathing things that you need at night, or you're on oxygen, you need to plug things in, that Ninja Bat's a really good unit for stuff like that. Now, let me see here. Carol says, I have monthly gas, electric, water, internet, mobile phone bill, car tax, car insurance, petrol. Then I can eat. Right. I hear you. I hear you. You know, and we have an internet and a cell phone right now because we've been out here for 11 years and we are in a 30-mile radius where there's no cell phones. So it really chaps my bottom to pay for a cell phone bill that I can't use, but when we're out, we need it. And we could have done the paid phones, pay-as-you-go phones, but we already had our phones. And sometimes I'll lower our service plan, but currently they have a tower up. We're just waiting for it to be turned on, and I have mixed emotions about that because I like the way we are right now, where our phones are limited and not having that thing ringing all the time. But at the same time, if that becomes an availability, I can get rid of my internet. So, and I'll have better probably abilities with my cell service on my phone than I did with the internet. So we're just gonna have to see. But, you know, I like staying old school. I mean, if we didn't have to have a laptop, an iPad, and an iPhone, we wouldn't have them. But because of our businesses, we need them. And right now we have, you know, our insurances, we have our internet and our phone bill, and we have fuel. And that is and then our food. Those are our expenses, and we're very minimal. But when you can start lowering them and eliminating them and really tapping into being frugal, you will see a huge difference even if you're on the grid. Mill says, we hauled water for 3 years in our first cabin before we could save for a well. You learn to be very conservative in water use. Amen. How about it, sister? That's where we are right now. We are very blessed to have a dear friend of ours allowing us to get water out of their well all winter. But we have found a vein here. We knew there was water here. We were thinking to do a well, but we would like to try to see if we could do a hand-pounded well versus a hand-dug well, and see if we can tap into this vein. The mountain man seems to think we can, so we are going to try that in beginning of May end of April, beginning of May, and see if we can't get ourselves a water, a hand pump out here. That'll start us. And then if we are able to tap into that, that will give us even more options moving forward. So we're going to try that first. That's like a $200 investment. And because a well out here, we got very lucky. Wells out here are very deep. They're very full of iron. And some people we know have had dug 4 wells before they finally hit good water. So we prayed hard when we dug the well at our previous homestead. And I believe it's 175 feet. The pump is at 150 feet. It is crystal clear water, 30 gallons per minute. Very little iron, a little bit of calcium. So we got tremendously lucky, and that was like hefty prayer, let me tell you. So we are hoping that we are able to tap into the same vein or similar vein here, that and not have to worry about digging a well. So that would be huge. But yes, Mill, is that not the truth? I mean, we live with the 55-gallon drum upstairs filled up. We have a 15-gallon, I think that's what that is, 15 or 25, might be a 25, out in the shower house. And then we have all of our water jugs and 3 5-gallon jugs that we work through between a week and a half and 2 weeks, depending if we do wash. So we just, it's a job to go get the water. So we've been hauling water. Initially, when we were at the other homestead, we were hauling water also, but I could not drink that water. They put stuff in it. I mean, you can smell the chlorine, the Clorox and that in it. There's just no way I could drink that. No way. My body just reacts to the smell of Clorox, let alone ingesting that. So we're very grateful, and we're praying very hard that we are able to get our well in. That'll be something that we will definitely be taking you on the journey of and filming that with you guys. But yes, learning to be conservative. And really learning to be conservative is tremendous. It saves you so much money, and you will be so surprised at your mindset, at how you think about things moving forward. So many people today walk into Walmart or any other store and see the sales and purchase things on a whim because they see it, but they don't really need it. They don't really use it. I don't play that game anymore at all. I get in, I get out. I don't buy anything that's not on the list unless it's food. And even then it's an exception, and I fight that too. Shelly says, I try to buy stuff that we can use camping, that we can use for emergency purposes also. Yep, absolutely. We do this. We pretty much do the same. Mill says you can buy small gold chips from Gold Line in case of emergencies. Yes, and I know there's silver places too. Awesome, and thank you for sharing that. The problem is now some places will not take cash, only debit or credit card. Yeah, see, they're already starting that. That's because let me put it this way to you guys. I shopped on Walmart recently online to purchase dog food, which was actually pretty cool. I could buy a 55-pound bag for $22. In town, they have a 38-pound bag for $22 or $24, and it's free delivery from Walmart. And I love to give local business my business, but I'm getting how many extra pounds of food for the same price, and I don't have to pay shipping. Well, I went on there, and I went to look up one of my previous orders, because I've only ordered to have stuff shipped from them like 4 times. And then I went in there, and they were suggesting that I might like to reorder certain things. And I'm like, I never bought those here. And then I read what it said. It's stuff I bought in their store. So how do they know that I bought it in their store when I don't have an email or anything else contributed to them and given to them to apply my order to? It's my credit card. I'm telling you guys. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Don't get me started on that ball game. It goes along with the vaccine and shipping and things being mandatory. And soon, if you don't have the right piece of equipment, you won't be able to purchase your groceries. I will not comply. We will not comply. Carol says, Tammy, we are on lockdown 3, and all the way through you cannot use any cash. Unbelievable. 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 Yeah, that's where we're headed, guys. Mill says, I put in a magnet light switch that operates on batteries and it sticks to the door. You just flip the switch and voila. I have one of those in the outhouse that we were borrowing, and I have one of those in my container. They are the coolest little things. It just cracked me up when I put that in the container, and you just flip the switch, and, you know, I love that. It is very handy out there. And then the fact that it's magnetic, I've pulled it off of there and gone through the container to find what I'm looking for. So, yes, those are very handy. Carol says, are you wearing a different ring? I'm just not wearing as many. I had rings on every finger but my pinkies before, but they were starting to bug me and get in my way. So I don't have as many on. Just my wedding ring and my thumb ring, and I have a piece of amber that I wear pretty regularly. The other ones are pretty thick bands, and I'm too active with my hands. I can be a girly girl sometimes, but with all the stuff I do here and my chores, they just get in the way. So I wear them sometimes. I take them down, take them off other times. So thank you for asking and noticing, though. I do love jewelry. It's just depending what I'm doing, they gotta be taken off. I only take my wedding band off when I do bread because the dough gets in it. Let me see here. Shelly says, during my illness, I accidentally turned off my notifications, so I did not see any emails, etc. on my cell, so it was very quiet. Isn't that nice? I have turned off all of my notifications except for very few. I don't like being, and you know what? You know, when you do that and then you turn some of them back on, it's like you catch yourself feeling like you're in a panic to pay attention to it. And I don't want to be in that place. I've like caught myself on that, and I don't want to be in that place. There is nothing I need to panic over unless something happens to my man or something happens to my son or something happens to one of my friends or family. But beyond that, nothing that's coming across my desk should be that important that I have to feel a heart palpitation to go quickly grab my phone. So yes, learning to do those things, learning to detox from that stuff, and learning to just be sometimes is really important, which is what I've been talking about as far as the still quiet place. So Carol says, Shelly, my phone updated a couple weeks ago and I don't get any now. That's why I keep missing everything. I've reinstalled everything and unsubscribed and re-added and still nada. Have you gone into your settings on your phone, into the notifications? When you go into the notifications, you can go down through by app and click on it and see if it's enabled or not enabled. And then you can take care of that on your own for the things you do want and don't want. But on my iPhone, you're able to do that. Shelly says, don't you hate that, Carol? That has happened to me also. This time it was all me because I could not see out of my one eye, so accidentally pushed buttons to cause my own isolation. That's funny, but it worked, right? Hello, Miss Jane. Carol says it's the worst. I still can't sort it. Well, hopefully if you figure out how to go in the settings and find your notifications, you will be good. Exactly, sister. Big brother and the eye. Yes, yes. Not happy. Yes, exactly, Mill. She says we will also not comply. Not complying. So shocked at how many people are getting the vaccine. And if you did, that's okay. That's your choice. Oh, but I won't. I know what's in it. I know how it affects the body. And it's just not good. And who knows what else they've shoved in it. To keep track of things. No, thank you. Jane says, I have one of those light switch lights in my purse. Makes me happy, especially at night, and I light it up. Peeps. That's so funny. That's so funny. Yep, done all my notifications. Wow, that's so crazy. So crazy. What kind of phone do you have, Carol? Shelly says, I always leave my cell in a place I can not hear it at night. Once in bed, I do not care, but unfortunately there were a few emails I was waiting for and just seeing them this morning. I don't know about you, but on my iPhone, you can do the bedtime settings. So you set it for a reminder, however far early before you want to go to bed, and then how soon you want to be notified after you go to bed or after you wake up, and it puts you in bedtime mode. So none of the notifications come across your phone any longer after the time set prior to going to bed and also upon awaking. So it's very nice because I sometimes do things during the night. Like I'm taking a class and I was doing my course, and if those alarms go off or notifications go off, and usually I don't have my volume on my phone. When the man leaves the house or I'm waiting for something from Austin, I will turn the volume on, but typically I just have it on vibration mode, and I just look at it periodically, but I'm trying not to make that a habit as well. But there are some nice settings on there that can, quiet things down. Mill says, I'm vaccine injured and never getting another one. Yes, me too, ma'am. And Austin too. Austin said when he went for the tour at the community college, the woman asked him if he was going to get the vaccine. And I said, well, what did you say? He said, no. He says, I won't do that. And I said, how did she react? He said, she got quiet. So I'm proud of him. He really has paid attention to the things we've been talking about and sees the things for himself. He's an adult. He can make decisions for himself. We've guided him, but I'm really proud to see the decisions he makes. Carol says, Mill, what does that mean, please? Okay, well, Mill, you can chime in on that. I imagine she will share some too, but Carol, Austin was vaccine injured. Austin did not have a lot of his autism and Asperger tendencies until after a second round of antibiotics, and then things started to surface immediately. I know another friend whose son was vaccinated, and he was a very outgoing, very independent child who is now in a shell, was in a shell. She worked very hard with him to get him back out of his shell as well, like I did. But vaccine injury it affects the body, it affects the immune system, it affects other organs, it affects your mind. There's so much garbage in those vaccines. There is mercury, there is tons of heavy metals. After you get a vaccine, you should be doing major heavy metal detoxification. I just won't touch them. I get absolutely aggravated when I go to town and see the big lit up board that says free flu shots. That just aggravates me because I know what it's doing to people. It's terrible. It's terrible. Tammy says, does the alarm still go off in the morning when set on bedtime setting? Yes. And what's really nice is the alarm, and you can't use this alarm setting on regular alarms. It's only on the bedtime setting. It starts off really soft, and it gets a little louder at a time instead of the wah, wah, wah. So it's so nice to wake up to that alarm. It's like peaceful. Like I actually felt joyful when I wake up to that alarm versus just being blasted out of my sleep. So it actually like puts a smile to my face. So it's very kind. So that's another reason we use it. So Mill says, I was given a flu shot and 6 months later my health made nosedives. Yep, I'm not surprised. We do not do any of the flu shots, any of the vaccines, any of the free shots they offer you. And I'll tell you, I was so aggravated when I went to the doctors. I'm sitting there waiting for the doctor to come in with what I've been dealing with is a UTI that won't go away. A urinary tract infection, Carol, in case you're not familiar with that. And I'm in there, and on the wall is a pregnant woman, big poster that says, I vaccinate. And that kind of bothered me too. But, you know, to each his own. Everybody is permitted their own choices, their own opinions. It's all good. I respect everybody else's desires, but I'm sharing mine. And when I was sitting in there, the nurse or the aide, whatever she is, PA, came in and she says, would you like vaccines? I can get you any of the ones you might need. They'd be free. Just let me know which ones you might want. And I was like, I know I gritted my teeth. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm fine. But, I mean, they're just handing them out. And it's terrible. It's terrible to me to see what they cause and what they can do. And this is the other thing. A vaccine injects you with the illness. So I look at it this way. The people that get really upset that I'm not vaccinated or that I haven't taken the flu shot or I haven't taken this vaccine, why are you worried? If you got it, you're protected. So your health is protected. You shouldn't be worried if I get it, because if I get it, I shouldn't infect you because you've already gotten the vaccination, right? So why should it be any of your concern, and why should you be upset with me? If I die, I die. That's my choice. That's, you know, and I'm not going to infect you. You should be protected, but that's not how it works though, always. But that's why they do them. But Tammy says, my nephew had his Tourette's explode after the barrage of Navy boot camp vaccines to the point he is disabled. That is just so terrible. That's all the heavy metals. And I know we talked about it, but man, a heavy metal detox for him, and bentonite clay, the Sones stuff that we talked about on Monday. Oh, you weren't here Monday, but I've talked about them before. They bind the toxins as you're detoxing, you know, so, but they're dangerous. They really, really are. And, you know, it's no different than anything else in this world. People make it sound really good and make it sound like it's a necessity, but that's because people don't do their research. When you do your research, it's eye-opening. It's eye-opening. I agree, Carol. Carol says, I'm sorry, Mill, not good at all. Mill says, it has cost me thousands and thousands of dollars dealing with it. I encourage to do not inject unless you read the ingredients list. Yep. And plan on doing a detox afterwards. Even so. Mill says, it's disgusting what they're doing. You have legal recourse for their poison. Yep. Cilantro is good. Yes, Melissa. It is absolutely good at detoxing metals. Guava leaf is also a great detox. Awesome. Yes. Yeah, but detoxing, we talked about that on Monday, about detoxing from surgeries as well, from the anesthesia and the different things that they inject you with, as well as eye drops for cataracts. I can't take them. My body is way too sensitive. I knew that's what you meant, Mel. There is no recourse, which is terrible, because it is what it is, right? But detoxing from any kind of medical procedure, MRIs with the Jane will help me here. Contrast. I remembered. Jane says, I'm waiting, but they have said may need for out-of-country travel. Oh, and you're going... That's right. Well, detox yourself good afterwards. Yeah, I know. And it's going to get that way in October of this year. October of last year, they were supposed to put it in place, but because of COVID, they didn't. But there's a new star emblem that will be applied to our driver's licenses in order to fly, and that will take effect in October. If you do not have that, you will not be able to fly. So it's a chip on your driver's license, and they connect your driver's license with your social security number and your birth certificate, because those are the two things you need to go in with in order to get the star on your driver's license. So yes, and yes, Miss Jane is going to South America. When is your trip again? Shelly says, do not forget to hit the like button. Thank you, my dear sweet friend. Yes, guys, please, if you would, hit the like button. Leave comments on the replay. Share with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We would love to have you joining us. So Carol says, out of country, we are not allowed to go from town to town. Wow. Wow. Do they have roadblocks and stuff up, Carol? That's crazy, crazy, crazy. Yes, we are allowed to travel in the States. Out of country, there's more necessary. You have to have a positive COVID test done 2 days before you leave. Oh, cool. Oh, good. All your stuff came. There you go. The man's back bearing packages. Look at that. Look at that. Thank you. Is one of those packages from Amazon? That's not. That's your shoe jigger thingers. So anyway, we have a very big conversation going on here today. Jane says she sees another lockdown. What makes you say that? I'm just curious. Jane says, or passport, yes. She's leaving February. So yeah, who knows what they're going to do by then. And she says, if God allows. What's that?
Revolt.
Revolt, right. He says revolt. Well, everybody on here is revolting today. Mill is joining us, and Mill is not complying with anything either, as we will not. He just did a... We need to revolt. Truthfully, we really do. I mean, we need to fight this stuff. Tammy says, when you say that about the stars, all I can think about is Dr. Seuss and the stars on Thars, the Sneetches. That's funny. Yes.
Somebody's been around the kids quite a bit.
I know. Well, how often do I refer to Dr. Seuss? I say that too sometimes. So, green eggs and ham, Sam, I am. Carol says they did first time around, second time around, just police loitering. Now cameras set up. Wow. They're not allowed to go town to town in the UK. On their lockdown, they can't leave their town. And that's what she just said. It's been they had roadblocks set up initially, and then the second time around it was just police loitering, and now she said they have cameras set up. That is, oh my goodness. So anyway, Shelly says I will be detoxing big time in the next little bit. All the antibiotics, and then I work in home care, so I will need to have the vaccine if I want to work. So lining up the detox stuff soon. Yeah, make sure you have it on hand to really combat that directly following it. Goodness. Jane says, yes, airports are setting up COVID testing sites. Seriously? Oh, man. Wow. All right. So, Mill says, if you guys haven't read up on the Great Reset, I would encourage you to check it out. Yes, we have. And she is right. Yes. By all means, look for it and read it and understand it. And yes. Carol says, I definitely think we will have lockdown 4 by the end of the year.
Communism.
Yes, well, that's what we're dealing with. Yes, and Jane says either inside or nearby. Miss Diana is in the house. She says, hey, everyone, I finally am able to get on after 45 minutes. This is a good discussion today. Diana will add some insight, too, here on this conversation. Jane says 30 to 50% coming over the border are testing positive for the C. Yeah. And why aren't there things set up there? Right. Because that would lose some votes later. So Carol says, Mill here in the UK, we are on lockdown 3. That's up to 3 months at a time. I know about Great Reset. I think they managed to clear the tax year so far. Now all small businesses are closing. I wonder why. Oh, such a mess.
Yep. If you haven't been preparing, and there's a difference between preparing and hoarding.
Right.
But if you haven't done that, you might want to really look around and consider doing some of that.
Yeah, for sure. And I talked to you guys about feeling nudged. This is an area where you need to really pay attention. God will nudge you on things that you need and things that you need to think about. And you need to really pay attention to that and also listen to it. Now more than ever, we need to continue preparing forward. Seeds, food. For us, if our... Just for example, this was a conversation we had the other day. Winter gloves, winter boots, things that we could have on hand to back up the pairs we already have. That if those things are no longer available, we are set.
But there's people that also take that to extremes.
Right.
There's people that take it to major extremes. But okay, so you get some extra food. Just say you get a little extra food. All right. So nothing happens. Big deal. You have some food, you just eat it up. Same with boots or gloves or whatever. You're gonna go through that stuff anyways. That stuff.
It's a future investment.
That stuff that you would use anyways. Okay.
Right.
So you get an extra pair of boots. All right. Well, at some point you're gonna wear through the pair you have. So now you don't have to buy another pair of boots if nothing happens.
Right.
But
it's living smart.
Yeah.
Instead of suffering, instead of working harder, working smarter instead of harder, this is preparing smarter instead of suffering.
Yeah, it's just think about some things that make life a little bit easier. I mean, you obviously can't do everything. I mean,
we're all limited in some way.
Financially, you can't do. You can't go out and buy 10 pairs of pants, and then you come in and buy 20 pairs of socks, and and 20 pairs of shoes. I'm just exaggerating, but you can't necessarily do that, but you can prepare a little bit in some fashion or another, and it's not gonna hurt you if you have it. But another thing is you can't do is you can have this stuff, but you can't depend on the stuff that you have. You got to depend on God, not the stuff you have.
And your abilities. The abilities need to match the stuff. Like, you can prep and hoard all you want, but you still need to have skills to exist if things were to go awry. So you've got to...
We talk about this quite a bit. We say...
all the time.
You get these people, and God forbid it ever gets to the point that you have to do this, but you never know. But that you would have to bug out, okay? These people have these 75-pound bug-out bags, and most of them can't even hardly pick them up, let alone walk a mile or two. And then they try and walk a mile or two. Most of them are going to die halfway there to wherever they're going.
Or they'll leave the pack behind and go somewhere,
If they have no clue, I hear people saying, well, I'm going to go in the woods and live. Well, have you ever tried that?
And do you have the tools to do that?
Most people have no idea
where to begin.
Where to start with that.
Right.
So, it's good to have something, but if you can't use it, what's the point of having it? Unless you learn to utilize it.
The other thing is you have the 75-pound pack and all that stuff in it, but you don't know how to use a single thing in it. You just were told, that. So learning all those things, and that's what we're going to teach you guys. That's what's upcoming, is our classes and our education to back all of our jabber up. So, but Jane said something funny. That's why I laughed. Hang on, let me spin this around. Maybe. There we go. I saw Jane's comment come through. She says, Glenn, that's right. And when we leave, you may inherit some more. Made me laugh. I saw that as he was saying that. That's why I chuckled. So Jane says, Brazil just locked Germany soon. Wow, exactly. Yes. France is on lockdown again. Sad. Feeling uneasy again. I'm not feeling uneasy. I'm just feeling the pressure to keep moving forward and to keep preparing. You're okay.
All I can say is,
I'm trying to flip it. There we go.
you hear people talking about it, and you hear people saying about, well, America, we need to stand up and stop this and da 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 da. And yeah, I agree with that. Either something's going to happen that people are going to stand up, or something. I don't know. People just are not going to roll over, especially here in the United States. They're not going to take and roll over and play dead.
Right.
Not going to happen. There might be a lot of dead people, but they're not going to roll over and play dead.
Right.
But with that being said, you cannot take and put out of mind one world order. It is biblical. At some point, it will happen. If you believe in the Bible, it is biblical. It is in the Bible. If you believe in that, then one world order is going to come at some point. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. But we can live as free as we can live up to that point, Right. But if you look at how things are going, this shutdown, that shutdown, that shutdown, that shutdown, it basically soon starts to create a whirlwind, a suction. Things start dropping off, small businesses.
Well, that's what Carol just said.
That sort of thing. Yep. It starts sucking it. Well, then once those are all gone, and big business is the only thing that's still afloat, and the government has their hand in that,
then you're looking at socialism.
The only thing you can rely on is big businesses and the government, and that's what they want.
Yep, sadly, yeah. This has been a good conversation today. There's a lot more comments here too. Let me see. Yeah, then Carol says they want people with all the money up high. Yep. We will all have the same housing, all have the same money, we'll own nothing. It's coming. Yep, socialism. Mill says we operate on the one is none system. Exactly. Yep. So do we. Diana, there will be no vax, says there will be no vax for us. Totally agree. Not complying.
Here.
After getting back from our trip to the People's Republic of New York, we are going to hit the ground running with garden detoxing changes in our diet. Yes, ma'am. Yep, exactly. Diana says stuff will only go up in price. Buying now saves money in the long run. Amen to that too. It's an investment in your future.
Put it this way. I was in town today, and the price of fuel in the last week or two.
Yeah, what was it? I didn't even pay attention.
It cost me, because I burn non-ethanol fuel in like my chainsaw, my weed eater,
generator, everything.
All that stuff I burn non-ethanol fuel in, because the ethanol fuel
gums it all up.
The carburetors and everything else.
Yeah.
But about a week and a half ago, I filled up a jug, and it was like just about $15 for a 5-gallon jug. In about a week, it is now 18 something a gallon, or 18 something
for the
fill up a 5-gallon
jug.
Yeah. That's in say a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. Week and a half,
something like that.
So you can say, and they said by Memorial Day, it is supposed to be a lot higher. So something to think about.
Yes, if you can stock up on fuel, fill your gas containers. Get an additive if you plan on keeping it for a long period of time.
Yeah, if you do get some extra fuel, that Startron is a pretty good additive. It keeps your fuel from gumming up and stuff. They say it's good for up to 2 years, but it helps your fuel.
Yeah. And you definitely want to do that. Otherwise, the gas gets bad. Deb says airports had C-test sites back in August when I flew to Alaska. I didn't do it, of course. Didn't even give them my paperwork that I filled out, very illegible to begin with. I wasn't giving them anything. Yeah. Carol says, so far in the UK, COVID has killed off a lot of old that rely on government money. Funny that. It will just be superstores and then against us and them against us. Yep. Exactly. Shelley says, I've been trying to buy a little ahead, so have a little extra here and there, but know I need the skills are more important. Need to get more tools to survive. And Jane says, we had a home appraisal 2 weeks ago. Okay, I'm guilty. She found North Idaho's toilet paper for last year. I love it. Mill says, looking forward to seeing your classes. Yes, they will be coming. That was part of what today was, a little bit that I shared, sort of. Shelley says, are you heading out? I saw you reaching for the handle.
I'm going to get stuff situated.
Okay. Shelley says, need to get out and practice living rough and off grid.
And you don't, I mean, that's
exactly what I was
saying. That is very good to try, but don't take it in huge steps, or you can start getting discouraged. You know, you try taking a big bite out of something, and then it's like, it can get overwhelming. So take little steps and build. Pick one or two things, learn them pretty good, and build on that, and just start building and building and building.
Yeah.
It's no different than a job. You get a new job somewhere. If you don't already have the skills, you're taught the skills over time. So you just take that time. They don't expect you, say you're going to be a welder. Well, they don't expect you to jump in there and throw a nice bead down and say, hey, that's good, you're good, you know, the same day.
Right.
You get taught how to do that, the skills of it. So just take your time and just build on those skills. I mean, Lord knows how much time we have, but, you know, don't skip over stuff and not learn it good. I mean, it takes a lifetime to master something, but just slowly build on your skills.
And we'll help you with that, because what we intend to do is start out with the class, and these are kid-friendly classes too. I really want to do some stuff with the kids, and they can be part of, you know, those of you that have young children, you know, incorporate them in the classes, because, you know, Austin was learning how to light fires at age 7, 9. And, you know, some people are like, wow, why would you teach a young child to start a fire? Well, because if he got separated from me, I needed to make sure he could take care of himself, you know? So it's teaching kids a responsibility and the importance of it, as well as the safety of it. And typically most kids will look at that as a great privilege and respect it.
You just got to make it clear.
Right. Yeah.
It's no different. It's no different than anything else.
And teaching them how to use firearms. You know.
You know, I grew up around guns. You know, I grew up around that. You know, you're taught a respect for them.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah. Diana just shared something that's very true. Where did I see it? Shelley says, I'm excited to learn from your classes and to learn how to get food from the wilds. And Diana says, a sense of urgency is much different than a panic. Exactly. Yeah. And I think we're all feeling that weight of urgency, you know, and don't be in a place of panic. That's not a healthy place to be. But a place of feeling that sense of urgency, I think we all should be feeling that right now. If we're not, maybe you should be, because there is definitely stuff coming, stuff down the pike, stuff that's happening now that we should, and you know, like he said, we all are limited in many ways as to what we can do, but it's no different than what I said earlier. If you can do something, do it. And that's the important thing. Jane says, second Amazon is being built right now in a hurry in Spokane Valley, and the other one that opened just bought the other plane runway. No kidding. No kidding. So crazy. Mill says, off topic, lol. If anyone here is a gluten-free bread making champion, I need you. I can help you. We've been doing gluten-free since the mountain boy is 7. Whoops, I hit a button again.
Not a button.
A button. So reach out to me. I can gladly help you. The free bread baking course on our academy, TrayerWildernessAcademy.com. If you go to classes, you will see all that's available. There is a free bread baking course in there. That will help you. But if you have questions, reach out to me anytime. I would be happy to help you. Are you heading out?
Yeah, I'm gonna take that. Yeah, I could probably help you too. You take a little bit of flour, throw it in a bowl, take a little bit of water, pour it in there, and put a little bit of yeast in there, and maybe a little bit of sugar and salt and
olive oil.
Yeah, olive oil too, and just see what happens.
Right. I was waiting to see how he ended that. The see what happens is what I was waiting for. Gluten-free bread baking is a bit different, so your consistency will be different, but I've mastered it. I've figured out how to get it the way you'd like it to be. So thank you, baby.
Yep.
All right. So let me see here. Jane says, Mill, I've tried but not perfected yet, rather bland. Oh, you just got to add good stuff. Psyllium husk and flax meal are really good additives, and then as well as nuts. I like Dave's crazy bread. So I shared that recipe in the community. I've made that in a gluten-free version too. So Mill, check out the free class because that gives you the basics to get started. And then and any recipe I share on bread typically has the directions for the gluten-free side of things too. I will be sharing a new recipe with you guys on the Dutch oven. It's a sourdough bread, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So that'll be the next thing I'm sharing with you, and that I make gluten-free. So reach out anytime, Mill. Tammy says, a friend of mine said when she filled out paperwork at the doctor's, one of the questions was, do you own guns? Oh, yes, they will ask you. Do you not need to answer that? Oh, yes, they ask that a lot. They also ask if you're depressed or if you felt sad at any time. Be very cautious with those questions because the questions are deceiving, and they want to know if you've ever felt sad. Well, of course, we've all felt sad, so be careful answering that because if you felt sad in any way, they're recording that. Shelly says, Mill, I have tried once and need to try again as it is gone. Whoop, I keep hitting that. Jane says, start with fire building, then cooking on fire, shelter building, water purification skills. Yes. And we will walk you guys through all of that. The Mountain Man and the Mountain Boy did a huge series. I did a series on it too a while back. And you can find those on our channel now, but we're going to put together a course that walks you through the whole process. I mean, if you go back on our channels, you will see all the different videos, but they've done fire with flint and steel, with magnifying glasses, with bow drill, all different kinds of fire starting, as well as in different seasons, so that they can, because to go out and if you have a lighter, a lot of people think they're superheroes when they go out now in this kind of weather because they have a lighter and they can start a fire, but it's very difficult to find dry material. So we teach you where to look for dry material and how to start a fire in wet weather when everything is wet. So we do a lot of that. And then the Mountain Man's, I can't reach him, even fabricated 2 fire pistons. This is the small one. And this is the large one that he fabricated. These are fire pistons, which are used to start fires, and they're multi-purpose, of course. So you can use them to clean your pistol in the wilderness. You can also use them to the large one has an auger attachment, so you can use it to drill holes, so you can build furniture. We've done some really fun camping trips. We have some pretty awesome furniture when we go on our 3-day trips. So yes, but that's the thing, is learning in a in a setting where you're learning one skill at a time and not trying to learn it all at once. So that's really important. Shelley says, need to learn to start a fire, good to go camping and practice with no matches. It is definitely a challenge to do a bow drill fire. The beauty is, though, you have everything you need on your body if you were out in the woods and needed to do that. If you carry a lighter, a pocket knife, and you have boots on with shoelaces. We always carry paracord in our pockets, but I would be lost without my pocket knife. One of the things I'm starting to carry again, too, is my Gerber, my multi-tool, and I also want to find the knife the mountain man made. I have to say that I know where it's at. I have to dig it out. It is in my tote with all of my survival gear. So I need to get that out, and I know where it's at, but it just happens to be at the bottom of a pile. So Jane says, I would have wrote yes, Nerf. That is hysterical. Oh, yeah, they're asking those questions at the doctor's office. Yep, for sure. I keep a flint in my purse. So do I. I have a flint and steel, and I have a non-reusable space blanket in there, and my essential oil. So just my purse alone is my day bag. I always make sure I have an extra clip in there and an extra pocket knife in there. Yeah. So Jane says, I better watch that bread course. Go for it. It is free. That's what it's there for. Go hit it up. Mill says, awesome. I hit gold. Whoop. Yes, you did. I will gladly walk you through it and help you in any way I can. So just, you can email me anytime. survive@TrayerWilderness.com. Oh, Carol says, we love you, Mountain Man. Jane says, wrap it around a stick and hold it over the fire. The bread dough. Seeds or nuts. Yes, yes, yes. I love seeds and nuts. And I put a lot of seasonings in my gluten-free breads. I like, you know me and my salt, so my Himalayan salt goes in there, and garlic. You know, you can make anything bread or everything bread as well, like an everything bagel. I've been buying the Franz gluten-free great seed. It's okay. Yeah, that's what we eat when we buy bread. I like Dave's, but Franz's is cheaper. Dave's is better, but you know. Diana says, on a different note, we are experiencing thunderstorms, possibly severe. Learning how to read the weather is something I want to do. Meteorology has interested me since childhood. Yes, that is really cool. And the other thing is reading the stars. And the sky, both for navigation and planting. So yes, those are two passions of mine too. So very awesome. Birch tree paper is really good for fire starter. Fat wood is very good for fire starter. Cedar, a lot of times there's felled cedar. Also, where you have woodpecker holes, you will find wood shavings inside the holes. So you can grab that and start a fire as well. Yeah, birch bark is really a really good fire starter. Gotta go, guys. Lorenzo's bed. Bless him. Love you guys. Prayers and tons of love to all. I will get some pics of our planning and get them to you. Giant hugs, guys. Yeah, add those pictures in the community. Good night, Lorenzo. We love you. Good night, Miss Carol. We love you too. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you were able to be on here. She says, thanks, I will when it's quiet, lol. Night, guys. Night, lady. Jane says, paracord bracelets are handy. Yes, the Mountain Boy was making those and selling those. We still have those available. This is a clean canteen, which is great. Stainless steel, so you can heat this in a fire. You can find these by going to TrayerWilderness.com/clean canteen. It's KLEAN and then KANTEEN. But notice I put the paracord bracelet on here. This is really awesome to enable you to attach it to your pack, to your belt. When I go for a walk and I'm like doing my radio show and my hands are busy recording, I have this attached to my belt loop. Always having water with and always having that with is important when you're in the woods, because if you get separated, you need to get you need water. That's your way to purify it. So along with the Sawyer unit that I shared with you guys previously that we have on our sink. Let's see here. would love to learn star reading. I know. I'm really fascinated by that. So I'll keep you guys in the loop on that one, and Diana too. And we have a lot of courses coming to our academy. I'll share something more with that later, not today. Jane says, Tammy, do a paracord bracelet tutorial. I will have to do that because the man made a nice loom for me to do that, and the boy, so that he could make them really easily. So we have a loom, which is easy to make, and just blow them out really fast. But we're going to get those back up on our site again and on the Mountain Boys site because we have inventory of those. But they're very handy. Also on his multi-flame tools, these have belt loops, and these can attach to things like that. So you could be carrying multiple things. So yeah, we'll definitely educate on that, because when we go out on a hike and we camp, we don't take tents. We build our own shelters. We live off the land for 3+ days. It's always a minimum of 3 days when we go. That's how we used to spend our anniversaries, is we would go out and live off the land, build a shelter, and pan for gold while we're out there, or, just do a lot of hiking. But, that's our specialty. That's our favorite. That's our playtime. But when we go out there to do that, we're always practicing our skills and always learning new things. The other day when I mentioned that we went for a walk and I sat down by the stream, he lit a fire with a magnifying glass. We had a fire down there. We were listening to the water running. I got a couple rocks out of the creek for my jewelry, and just had a nice relaxing day. It was actually just part of the day. We just escaped for a while. But when you go out and you get a chance to be in the woods, it's always a good time to practice your skills. We're always practicing, and we know how to do these things, but the more you practice them, the more muscle memory you create. So it's just good. It's just good to do that. We have a neat series that'll be coming up, and I don't know if it'll be this year. It might maybe be the fall. Our spring and summer has turned into a little bit more than we had ever anticipated, and is very, very busy, which we'll be sharing more about as we go. Maybe fishing line and fly too. Yes, that is actually what old medicine canisters are really good for, is making your fish tackle. You can also use, he's already used just old shotgun shells and wrapped them up with duct tape. Sorry. Whew, brain fart for a second. So Miss Deb says, when is your anniversary? Also, when are your birthdays, Tammy and Glenn? Well, okay, so the mountain man said that if he wasn't married by 30, he wasn't getting married. So 11 years ago, on April 4th, I married him on his 30th birthday. And so his birthday is our anniversary. So his is 4/4, and that is our anniversary. So that is coming up very soon. And mine is January 10th. So the mountain man will be 41, and I turned 51. He's my boy toy. So anyway, that's okay. He calls me his old lady. So anyway, that answers that question. So I started out by talking about finances, and I just want to share a couple things, and I'll read some things. It's getting long, but this was good again. These times we have cover so much ground, and it's amazing to be surrounded by like-minded people. I know you guys feel it too, because when we are in our day-to-day lives, we aren't always surrounded by like-minded people, and it makes a very huge difference. It's very encouraging, it's very inspiring, and you can learn a lot. So when it comes to finances, I wanted to mention an app today, because I do use this faithfully to keep track of things, because we have multiple businesses as well as our personal stuff. There's a lot of different small things that need to get paid for. Our big expenditures I've already mentioned, but like for the web design side of things and the Trayer Wilderness side of things, there's a lot of stuff that I pay for the website, little apps and plugins, and same with the Trayer design. So keeping track of all those dates and all those things can be challenging. And you can write it on a calendar, but I've used this app for several years now and really find it very helpful. You can go to trayerwilderness.com/YNAB. It's YNAB. I don't know if the link's down below or not, but I will add it later, and I'll add it in the comments. But that is a fabulous app. It's inexpensive. There is a small fee to it. There is a trial period. I think it's a 28-day trial. And then I think it's like $4 a month. It's really not very expensive at all, considering what it enables you to do. And it really allows you to customize it to your liking. So I've got categories and segments on my YNAB where top is personal, then it goes one business to the next business to the next business. And it has all those things, and they're all dated and they're all chronological. So I know when things are due, and it allows me to keep track of things and what I might have missed or what needs paid. Or if a date changes on it, I can go in and change that and reorganize them. It's very easy to use. It's very handy, and there's a lot of great tutorials on their website and on their YouTube channel. But that is something I use alongside of Dave Ramsey's system. And I think it's really important for us to get a really good handle on things, but also be thinking ahead. And another important aspect of our finances is tithing. And I know that there are some people that don't really believe in tithing, but I'm going to share a story with you. We've always tithed, but I always put tithing at the bottom of my list. Previously, 11 years ago, tithing was at the bottom of my list. I was always making sure that I was being responsible and paying the most important things first. However, it was brought to my attention that I was doing it backwards. And I was. And when I changed that on my budgeting, everything changed. Because we are called to give from a giving heart, not from one that's concerned and keeps it at the bottom of their list. So my tithing is now at the top. My tithing is done first. My tithing has been done. I've shared stories with you guys that when we had nothing and I tithed what we had left, even though I had bills due, I did that because that's what we're called to do. And every time I did that, even though the next day or two I had bills that were due, those bills were covered. Either I got a client check or somebody gifted us and it was the exact amount. But God calls us to tithe. And that doesn't necessarily mean the church. We are the church. And when we see people in need, if we are tithing people in need, we are tithing the church. I also do tithe the church. But I wanted to put that out there. You know, we are viewing Austin's needs as a tithe because he is on a missionary journey. And under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be able to help him. But we are feeling very led to help him wherever we can. I know that there are people in need often, and they are where my money goes before to the church. But I still tithe the church. And we are called to tithe 10% of what we earn. And when we look at it as a responsibility and we look at it as the first thing we are supposed to do, and we do it from a giving heart, not out of a scarcity heart, God blesses us for that. And I'm not saying tithing so that you can be blessed. I'm saying tithing so that you're doing it the right way. Tithe, doing what we are called to do, and watch what God does. It's really awesome. It really, 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 really is awesome. And when we start looking at things in that way, a lot shifts for us personally as well. It's very important that we give as part of our loving, you know, our form of loving and walking out God's will in our lives is to love and to give. So I wanted to put that out there and remind you guys and to encourage you to do it the right way and share with you that I too was doing it the wrong way. It was at the bottom of my list and it was only done if I had money left. It's the wrong way to do it. And I'm sharing this with you from example. I'm sharing this with you because I've seen the rewards and see God's dynamic firsthand. And his dynamics are always designed in an awesome way. It's no different than the marriage, that the man leads the family. There's a reason for that. And that the woman is his helpmeet. God designed things with such great intention. It's just that we're not all living it out. So that is my tip for today with your finances. And Diana says, Craig says January is a great month. His is the second. Awesome. I agree. I like to start my year off right. And Diana says, we have experienced the same thing in regard to tithing. He always met our needs. Always. Is it not amazing? It is just so amazing. So amazing. Shelley says, every time I do my groceries, I give to the local food bank, either by a couple dollars or by buying a bag of groceries around $20. Awesome. Awesome. When we follow that thought process, our thought process will change, and so will our way of looking at money, because most of us look at money in a regard of scarcity and in a regard with panic, where when we learn to look at money as God's money and how can I use it best, and keeping him in that equation, when I have a lot to pay, I ask him to guide me on where to place it, because sometimes what comes in doesn't match what needs to go out. So I ask him to guide me, because I know that he will have purpose in where we place our funding, and may have something in the works that I am not aware of. So keeping God in every aspect of our lives is very important, and following his guidelines in the Bible. His Bible gives us the guidelines we need for every aspect of our life if we're willing to abide by it. So that is extremely, extremely important. And it is amazing to see how God works those things out. So I want to challenge you guys to start looking at money differently, instead of in a panic mode or in a mode of scarcity. Look at it as though you are able to draw it in. Our mindset has greatly changed on our finances, and as a result of that, so has what's been happening with our finances. So that is what I'm going to continue to share with you guys, and little tips and tricks on that, because it is quite amazing. So I want to read something to you guys. This is called Something Much Bigger. 1 Corinthians 3:9. We are co-workers in God's service. More than 200 volunteers assisted October Books, a bookstore in Southampton, England, move its inventory to an address down the street. Helpers lined the sidewalk and passed books down a human conveyor belt. Having witnessed the volunteers in action, a store employee said it was a really moving experience to see people helping. They wanted to be a part of something bigger. We can also be a part of something much bigger than ourselves. God uses us to reach the world with the message of his love. Because someone shared the message with us, we can turn to another person and pass it on. Paul compared this, the building of God's kingdom, to growing a garden. Some of us plant seeds, while some of us water the seeds. We are, as Paul said, co-workers of God's service. 1 Corinthians 3:9. I love that verse. Each job is important, yet all are done in the power of God's Spirit. By his Spirit, God enables people to thrive spiritually when they hear that he loves them and sent his Son to die in their place so that they can be free from the sin. God does much of his work on earth through volunteers, like you and me. Although we're part of a community that's much bigger than any contribution we may make, we can help it grow by working together to share his love with the world. And I think this is so cool. And this is something else that was said in addition to this devotional. It says, 1 Corinthians 3:9 says, we're co-workers in God's service. Later in this book, Paul develops further the idea that believers are complementary co-workers. We may have different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. Whatever our gifts, God is the gift giver. And these different gifts lead to different kinds of service, which are offered to the same Lord. Whatever service we may perform, they all serve the same God. Through the variety of different kinds of working, in all of them, in everyone, it is the same God at work. We're all working for the same team, and we're all powered by the same leader of that team, God Himself. In this sense, we're not only each other's co-workers, we're God's co-workers too. I think that is so awesome, and I love that. And I love, that's what we have the ability to do. And honestly, I see us doing that here as a community, and just being able to reach more people and the different things we share. It's just really awesome. Wow, I can see my face. My face really flared from being in town. Now do you see why I prefer to stay home? We were only in town, 3 hours? It's crazy. So crazy how that affects me. I see you guys commenting, so I'll check these, and then I have something else I want to read. Mill says, I learned I was giving to the wrong people. I have changed that severely. Yeah, and Mill says, I really love this episode. Nice to be back here. Yes, nice to have you back, and nice to have your input. This was a really good conversation. Oh, that dog sounds so nasty. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but man, that sounds wrong. Jane says, that's where I flourish, serving where needed within the community. Yeah, it's so awesome to be able to play a part. And as you can see, I can't be part of a physical community because it impairs me greatly oftentimes. But this is how I can serve. And I love serving this way. I love being able to inspire others and encourage others and be able to reach others that may not have a community to go to. So we all have abilities to serve in different ways. Tammy and her family serve in a couple different ways through this thrift store that they volunteer at, and at the farm they volunteer at. We all have the abilities to serve in different ways and variations, and some of us might be planting seeds while someone else might step in and water. So you never know how you're going to touch people unless you make the effort to do so. And that's important. So this is regarding finances. Matthew 6:32 says, for the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So often we're worrying in our future, and there's things that will never ever happen. I live in today. I think way ahead. My calendars and my business is planned months ahead, but I live out of my day. And the plans I have for my future and the things that are written down, they could change. We talked about that Monday, rolling with the punches. But we worry so much, and we allow fear and worry to really guide us. And that's where we need to learn to shut that off, because fear and worry are from the enemy. Fear and worry do not serve us. And like I told you guys, I was able to rid myself of fear and worry. And that is like such a tremendous place to live out of. So live out of your day. If you've got finances due and they're due in a week, I get it. But don't focus on it. Plan to do what you can and what you can now. But don't live out of that space of fear and worry. Oftentimes, there's nothing more we can do to change the circumstances we are currently in. So keep living our day-to-day and following God's will, and watch what He does. I promise you. I promise you. So this is really cool too. Jesus gave this advice to a group of people who were anxious about their finances. Don't worry about these things. Your heavenly Father already knows all your needs, and He will give you everything you need. The key thing to this, though, is trusting that. We hear those words. We know those words. We've heard those words probably a lot of our life if you're a Christian. But trust those words. That's where you need to put your trust muscles to work, and your faith muscles to work. And you need to believe those words. And when you do, oh my word, it's amazing. So He will do this from day to day if you live for Him and make the kingdom of God your primary concern. What do you fear most? Not having enough money, or not having God's blessing on your finances? If your fear is not having enough is trumped by your fear of missing out on God's environment in your finances, you'll invest in something that can't fail, God's kingdom. You'll sow generously, and as a result, you'll experience a peace that can't be explained rationally and a joy that comes from knowing God is your backer, your banker, and your blesser. I need to interrupt there and say, you know what? That's so, so true, is that you will receive that. And it is such a tremendous feeling. And that's what I feel when I'm not experiencing fear and worry anymore, is that tremendous just joy and peace. Knowing that, you know what? I've done everything I can. God, I'm giving it to you. You know where I'm at. I trust you. And, oh gosh, yes, Diana, we will pray. You know what? I'll just stop and pray right now. Papa, I just ask that you keep a hedge of protection over Diana and Craig and their home and their things, and just protect them from this tornado. If it's your will, just remove this tornado and not allow it to happen. If it does touch down, please just keep it away from them and keep them safely hedged under your wings. And we just love you and praise you and just call out to you in their need right now and the state need there, and just ask you to be present and touch the area and protect it. We love you and ask this in your holy and precious name of Jesus. Amen. Wow. Hang in there, girl. We know how crazy that can be. Keep us posted, and we will continue to pray. Diana says, I've got to go. Nearly time to get dinner started. Everyone have a great weekend. I hope I'll be able to join while in New York. My daughter lives in the country. Well, that would be awesome. We love you. I will be on Monday at 2:30. 2:30, and again next Thursday at 10:30 normal time. Have a great visit too, and be safe in your travels. Shelly says, have a great visit with your family. Hope you can join us when you're there. We'll continue to pray for you with the tornado warning. Please keep us updated, okay, girl? Thank you guys for praying. Love you all for praying for them. So I will reread the last thing here. You'll sow generously, and as a result, you'll experience a peace that cannot be explained rationally and a joy that comes from knowing God is your backer, your banker, and your blesser. The Bible talks about casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. That's 1 Peter 5:7. Very true words. None of us can escape financial uncertainty. As one pastor writes, when the unexpected rolls around, we will be affected. Our net worth and possibly our income will be impacted. And at times like that, when everything seems up for grabs, we long for the assurance that we're not alone. We want to know that with uncertainty, that when we cast our financial cares on our Heavenly Father, he will in fact take good care of us. You guys witnessed that with us. Ironically, financial peace of mind doesn't come from hoarding and withholding, but from giving when it doesn't seem to make sense. And I'll tell you what, there is such a powerful feeling in that. We've done it, and we don't ever look back. We do that all the time. And that's what we're called to do. It's an amazing thing, stepping out. That is stepping out of your comfort zone more than ever. And it is such an amazing, amazing thing. It is your willingness to give now that guarantees God's promise to give back to you when you need it. That's why it's imperative to sow generously anytime you can. Thought that was very awesome, and I wanted to share that today. And then I do have one other thing, and then I will let you guys jump off of here. These all pertain, and they were really good. This is called Sowing the Seeds. And this is 2 Corinthians 9:11. You will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion. Pastor Andy Stanley writes, as you move forward in your relationship with God, occasionally he will test your grip on your wallet. It's a faith thing. Every so often, God will prompt you to step out of your generosity comfort zone. And if you really want to keep God in control of your finances, you need to follow. There's a line you must be willing to cross. You must be willing to go where as your provider. I'm not talking about acting irresponsibly with your money. I'm talking about an attitude in which God's voice is louder than the soundtrack of what ifs in your life. You can think of that line as the what if line. You'll know you're getting close to it when your desire to follow your generosity is met by the thoughts like, what if the interest rates change? Or what if inflation picks up? That line is different for everybody. As frightening as it might feel at times, God gives us financial seed for one purpose: sowing. Oop, I hope it didn't. My battery died, so I don't know how long I was dead there. But let me see. So as frightening as it might feel at times, God gives us financial seed for one purpose: sowing. Unless we open our palms and let the seed fly, we will never know what fruit He might bring from it. Here's a biblical principle that you can always be certain of: whoever sows generously will also reap generously. When you take that step of faith and cross that what if line, God promises you will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion. Go ahead, start to sow, and watch what happens. So that's this week's challenge for you guys, is to, bear with me a second here, sow generously, and to put that, you're gonna look at the ceiling for a second. I gotta open my phone because my battery's dying. Okay, sorry about that. Let me switch cords. So it's a real powerful place to be when we have control of our finances and we are not ignoring them, and we are also giving generously, which is what we are called to do. And at this time, I feel it's essential for us to do that and also prepare forward. We talked about all those subjects today, and it is really important, guys, that we are paying attention, doing what we can where we can, planting seeds, paying it forward, and preparing forward. And we will continue to match your efforts by sharing our videos and start really getting out there and diving in and giving you guys step-by-step processes to follow to keep you guys on the right track too, and to lead you and educate you. Educating is important, and making our knowledge power is adding the action to it. So we will provide so that you guys can add action to the knowledge, because it's really important. We need our knowledge to be power right now, and we really need to keep stepping forward and preparing forward and keeping our eyes open. It's good to put your head in the sand. Do that on Sundays, your day of rest. Rest, and don't worry about the rest of the world. But under normal circumstances, pay attention to what's happening. We really do need to do that. Even though it's depressing and disturbing at times, we really need to stay on top of things. So those are my tips for today. Down below, you will find all kinds of links. Definitely check them out. Lots of helpful information down there. Today, again, the financial software that I use, which is also laptop and Windows and smartphone syncable. It's a really great software, and it is YNAB, TrayerWilderness.com/YNAB. And it's basically, you need a budget. So you can think of it that way as well. So I'm going to say a prayer for us so that you guys can get back to your day. And yes, Jane, it was a great discussion today. I'm so glad that you guys were able to be here and patient with me too, that I arrived on a little late, like only an hour or more, but we did it. And I'm just going to say our prayer. Papa, I just thank you for the sunshine that's appearing. I thank you for this day. I thank you for what you do in our lives. I thank you for your presence here and how you have been just pulling this community together, pointing people this direction, and just creating this community. It's just such a strong, amazing community, and I just give you all the glory. I thank you for using us. Thank you for using me and just guiding me and directing me to lead, and just thank you for the renewal I too get from this community. I just lift everybody up. I want to lift Melissa as she lost her grandma Dorothy this week. I just want to lift her and her family to you. I lift Diana and Craig to you right now for their health and their healing, but also for their safety right now with the tornado warning. I lift up Mill to you with her health issues, and I lift up Carol to you as well. and her families, and just continue to be with her daughter and touch her daughter and heal her. And I just lift us all to you and just ask that you keep a hedge of protection over us as we try to do your work here on this earth. Just help us to discern and to be able to see the things we need to see. Keep our eyes and our ears open. I ask that you be with Shelley and just touch her body and heal her as well, and also mine, and just guide us and direct us to find the right answers with what's going on. I ask that you also keep a hand of healing on Tammy and just continue to touch her body. And I just ask that you do the same for Jane and just help her to find answers. And thank you for all that you're doing in our lives. Thank you what you're doing in our community. I ask that you keep us all safe till our next visit, and just be with everyone's needs. Be with all those that are watching the replay, and just be with them and their needs as well. And thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for what you're going to do. We love you and ask all this in your holy and precious name of Jesus. Amen. And help us live out of a place of abundance and not scarcity. Man, my face is red. Wow. So anyway, thank you all. I love you all. Remember to like and subscribe and to comment on the replay. And all God's children said amen. Thank you, sweet friend. I love you. I love you all. I'm thankful for all of you. Have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you Monday morning to get you off on your week on the right start. And I'm sorry I'm missing Kids Corner, but I will see them next Friday. And just keep this in mind. I have a special guest coming to visit with them, and the author will be joining them toward the end of the book. I am so excited. So lots of good stuff coming for everybody. And thank you guys for taking this time and all this time to be here with me today. I love you all, praying for you all. Take care and God bless.